In this next question, we are asked to sort words. We're going to ask the user to enter a sentence, and we're going to take that sentence and then turn it into a list. And we want to sort the words in a sentence backwards, not in reverse alphabetical order, but each word should be taken backwards. So the word that ends with A should come first. The word that ends with B should come second. The word that ends with C should come third, and so forth. And we should use lambda to accomplish this sorting. So let's take this little by little. Let's say I were to say here, words equals input, enter a sentence. We'll do a split here. So I'm going to say this is a bunch of words that need to be sorted pronto. Okay, and now if we look at words, we have a list. Why do we have a list? Because we use split on it. If I were to say now, sorted of words, we would get the words sorted from the earliest, from the sort of first one alphabetically to the last one alphabetically. And how does Python do it? It's comparing each of these words. And the comparison works sort of like we do with a dictionary. If you remember what a dictionary is, we take the two words and we compare their first letters. If the first letters are not the same, then we take the first one alphabetically. If the first letters are the same, then we check the second letter and take whichever one is alphabetically. So that's how sorting normally works. If I want to sort in reverse order, I can say words, and then reverse equals true, and then we'll get them in reverse alphabetical order. But that's not what I'm asking for. What I'm asking for is to sort the words. But I want, let's see, do we have a word that ends with A? We do, it's A. Do we have a word that ends with B? No. C? No. D? Yes, sorted. So this should be, well, I guess DE and DE, right? So need and sorted, one of them should be the second word. Well, which one should it be? Well, we've got DEE and DET. So we should first see A, and then need, and then sorted. Right? And then do we have anything that ends with E? We have B. Anything that ends with F? We have of. And so forth. Oh, I should put those at the end, right? B and of. So this is how I want you to sort the words. How can we do this? Well, sorted takes a second argument, an optional argument called key. And key is a function that will be invoked on each and every one of the elements in words. And based on that function, we will then sort the words. Note that it's not going to change the words themselves. It's only going to change the way in which they are sorted. So how can I do that? Well, I can say here sorted of words. And really what I want to do is I want to have a function here. So I'm going to say here like by backwards word, one word. I can say here return one word from the beginning to the end by -1. And I can say here's sorted words of key equals by backwards word. And if I do that, sure enough, we see that it's A, need, sorted, B of, and so on and so forth. So we have indeed accomplished what I wanted. Now what's going on here? Sorted is turning to words, turning to this list of strings, and it's applying this function to each and every element there. And based on the output from the function, it knows how to sort the different words. So it's not transforming the words. It's not a list comprehension or other transformation. It's not changing the words, but it's changing the basis on which they are being sorted. And what do we do here? We say key equals by backwards word, and this is the function that's going to be invoked. So far, so good, and technically nothing wrong with what I did here. The thing is, why am I defining by backwards word? I'm defining it because I need to have a function. Key needs to take a function argument. Am I ever going to use by backwards word anywhere else in my program? Probably not. So it seems a little silly to me that I'm going to define a function just to use it only once. What I'd rather do is have an inline function. I'd rather be able to say key equals, and then just a function here that does what by backwards word gives us. In fact, wouldn't it be nice to just say like one word, : -1? Yeah, that would be great, except that won't work. And that won't work because it says, well, first of all, one word is not defined. Moreover, it's not going to be like one word : -1 is not callable. It's not a function. It's not something we can invoke. So what I'm going to need to do is create an inline function. The way I do that is with lambda. Lambda creates what we would call an anonymous function. It's sort of like def, but without defining an actual variable. So I'm going to say lambda. I'm going to call it one word. And then I say one word, : -1. And, oh, because I didn't spell that correctly. And look at that. I'm going to close this little thing here. All right. So we see now that it worked exactly the same way, because what's going on? Key still got a function. It got the function lambda, one word, : :1. Now lambda is just like defining a regular function in that we get a function object back from it. But it's unlike a regular function in that, first of all, it has one line, one expression. No assignment, no for loops, no if statements, none of that stuff. Just one expression, and it has to fit on one line as well. So this is a classic sort of example where you would use lambda rather than a more traditional function. And as you see, it's sorting things just fine and dandy.